Can we allow? Go ahead and sign the trust. Go ahead and set.
Chuba Shemawa, Bon Yahweh, Bon Yashala.
Chuba Shemawa, Bon Yahweh, Bon Yashala.
Yahweh Shema Shabakatum.
Yahweh Shema Shabakatum.
La Yashala.
La Yashala. Go ahead and say it one more time. Hey, yo, man, Tito Slotty, can you check the feed, make sure the camera's still good? Good? No, you're still good too. Slotty, how's it going?
You want to fix it? You off center.
Oh, it's not center? Scoot down a little bit. Oh, shoot.
That's not right there. Yeah, all in there.
All right, a volume. You mean to stand? Go ahead. You got it.
Upon Hakadon, which means sorry, I'm going to read the Lord's Prayer in the Lashon Kodash. Abanaw, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shimka, Yahweh, Mulatuka, Taba'ah, Zayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Baratza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashamayim, Udunana, Wakam, Ka, Wom, Wasalakna, Kabawatna, Kasalakna, Kabawatina, Wala, Tabi'ayna, Wanasawon, Abba, Aishayna, Ayam, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wahala, Waltaparat, Lalumim, Amen.
All right, what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Next up is the power prayer.
This is the so you said power prayer.
Just flip to the right. Get that straight now, man.
Okay. Next is the power prayer in Lashon Kodash. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Babakashah, Latanana, Haka, Larapa'ah, Kamalawa, Latzahar, Matzarat, Hamatzazarayim, Haka, Lahakwi, Hamathi, Haka,
Awakawa,
Hatsama
Atsama,
Legarashun,
Legarashun,
Bashum,
Bashum,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
What?
What?
Amen.
In English, Lord,
Lord.
in the name of Yahushua,
In the name of Yahushua,
please give us the power,
please give us power,
the power to heal,
power to heal
all manner of sickness,
all manner of sickness,
and all manner of disease,
all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the lepers,
power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to raise the dead,
power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean spirits,
power against unclean spirits,
to cast them out,
to cast them out.
in the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it.
Blessed prayer.
All right. The blessings prayer in the Lashon Kodash. Baruch Yahweh.
Baruch Yahweh.
Why Yahweh Shai?
Why Yahushua?
Wama Yaka'ala.
Woman Yaka'ala.
Wa Al-Happy.
Wa'alahayim.
Matazab Yah.
Latzakiyah.
Halawak Yahana.
Alawak Yohanan.
Halawak Yim.
Halawakim.
Hasaranyim.
Hasaranyim.
Hakwatazayanyim.
Hakwachazayanyim.
Hakagayanyim.
Hakayayanyim.
Wathim.
Wahakwakim.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Water.
What?
Amen.
Amen.
And in the English we said, bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahushai.
And Yahushua.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohanan.
Commanding General Yohanan.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
Officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it.
All right, now Psalm 121.
All right, the Psalms 121 in the Lashon Kodash. Asha.
Asha.
Ayanya.
Ayanya.
Al-Hahari.
Al-Bahari.
Mahayan.
Mahayan.
Yaba'ah.
Yaba'ah.
Isari.
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 Ma'an.
Ma'an.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Shamayam.
Shamayam.
Waharatza.
Waharatza.
Al-Yathan.
Al-Yathan.
Lamawat.
Lamawat.
Regalka.
Regalka.
Al-Yanawam.
Al-Yalawam.
Shamarka.
Shamarka.
Hana'ah.
Hana'a.
La'ah.
La'a.
Yamawam.
Yalawam.
Wala'ah.
La'a.
Yayashan.
Yayashan.
Shalomar.
Shalomar.
Yasha'al.
Yasha'al.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Shamarka.
Shamarka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Zalka.
Zalka.
Al-Yah.
Al-Yad.
Yamika.
Yamika.
Yawamah.
Yawamah.
Hashemash.
Hashimash.
Lahayaka.
Yeah.
La'a. La'a. Yakaka.
Lahayaka.
Wayara.
Wayara. Balayah.
Walayara.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Makara.
Makara.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Afnapashka.
Afnapashka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Ta'azaka.
Taza'aka.
Wa'abaka.
Waba'aka.
Mayathar.
Ma'athar.
Wa'ayam.
I will love. And in English we say, I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From
which cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee,
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth Israel
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy keeper.
The Lord is thy shade.
The Lord is thy shade
Upon thy right hand.
upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
The Lord shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in.
from this time forth
From this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
Psalms 81, 88. This is the Psalms 83 in the Washroom Kodash. Alahayim. Al-Damayalaka. Al-Takarash. Wa'al-Takshakwat. Kayanya. Kayahana. Awayabika. Yahama Yawan. Ra'ash. Al-Amika. Rayamwa. Sawada. Wayata. Yaitazawa. Aitazbawanika. Hamarwa. Laka'awa. Wanakati Adam. Magawa. Walaha. Izarka. Izakar. Sham Yasha'al. Awada. Kaya. Nawa Aitazawa. La'aba. Yakadwa. Al-Yuka. Barya. Yakarathwa. Ahalia. Alawam. Wa'at Yashamayala. Ma'awa'al. Wagari. Gabal. Wa'amawan. Wa'amalak. Halashat. Amishabi. Tazawur. Gamashawur. Nalawa. Hayawa. Za'arwa. Labanya Lawat. Salah. Aisha Laham. Kamadia. Kasaya Sarah. Kayabim. Bonakal. Koyashma. Nashamadwa. Bayanda Argo. Hayawa. Damad. Lahadam. Dama'a. Shayatama. Nadayabma. Karab. Wakaza'aba. Wakazaba'ak. Wakatazzamanat. Kamasai Kamwa. Ashar. Aharwa. Nairashwa. Lanawa. Nahawa. Alahaya. Shayatama. Kagagala. Kakwash. Lapanya Wakawa. Kahash. Taba'ayr. Yara. Wakahabat. Salahat. Harayam. Khan. Taradatma. Basa'irka. Wapatka. Taba'ahal. Mala'ah. Hanyam. Hanyaham. Palawan. Wayabakwashwa. Shamkar. Yahaw. Yabashaw. Wayabahawa. Ayai. Wayachapara. Wayabadwa. Wayadaiwa. Kaya'ata. Shemka,
Shemka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Labaka,
Labaka,
Aliyawan,
Aliyawan,
Al-Kahar,
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 all right, but in the English, what we said was, keep not thy silence.
Keep not thy silence.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
hold not thy peace.
hold not thy peace,
And be not still.
and be not still.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
for lo,
lo,
thy enemies make a tumult,
thy enemies make a tumult,
and they that hate
and
thee
they that hate thee
have lifted up their head.
have lifted up their head.
They have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people,
against thy people,
and consulted against thy hidden one.
and consulted against thy hidden one.
They have said,
They have said,
come,
come,
and let us cut them off,
and let us cut them off,
for being a nation,
for being a nation,
with the name of Israel,
in the name of Israel,
and be no more in remembrance.
and be no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together,
For they have consulted together
with one consent,
with one consent.
and are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom,
The tabernacles of Edom,
and the Ishmaelites,
and the Ishmaelites,
of Moab,
of Moab,
and the Hagarenes,
and the Hagarenes,
Gabal,
Gabal,
and Ammon,
and Ammon,
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
the Philistines,
the inhabitants of Tyre.
the inhabitants of Tyre.
The shore also is joined with them.
The shore also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah,
Salah,
do unto them,
do unto them,
as unto the Midianites,
As unto the Midianites,
as to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
and the brook of Kisan,
and the brook of Kazan,
which perished at Endor.
which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles
Make their nobles
like Oreb,
like Oreb,
like Zeid,
like Zedek,
yea,
yea,
all their princes as Zabah,
all the princes of Sabbath,
and as Zalmunna,
and as Ammon,
who said it,
who said,
let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of God in possession.
the houses of God in possession.
Oh my God,
Oh my God,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as a stubble before the wind,
as a stone before the wind,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
and as the flame set the mountains on
and
fire.
as the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them
So persecute them
with thy tempest,
with thy
and
tempest,
make them afraid
and make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be confounded
and troubled
and troubled
forever.
forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to shame
and perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that they may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
Star? Go ahead and go show me again. All right, with that, we come to Shabbat, which makes it 6. Lord, this prayer, Yahweh Shem Shabbat, Yahweh Shema, Shai, first of all, Isupk, San Antonio Sabbath service. We're picking up in Genesis chapter 21. Now, who remembers what we talked about last time? Anybody in the audience? Last week we was in Genesis chapter 20. And what was Genesis chapter 20 talking about? If anyone remembers? Anybody? If not, that's all right. Just try to do a recap, just a quick recap. What happened was Abraham and his woman went into a city, and in that city, they pretended to be brother and sister, and then the king of that city took a liking to Abraham's wife, who was not his sister, right? What was the end result? The end result was they ended up walking out of that land with resources because the Most High put the fear into that king. And so Abraham and his wife, Sarah, I believe, they came out of that city with everything that they needed to start building. So again, Genesis is the beginning. And so it's the beginning of what leads to Israel being built, right? So Genesis chapter 21 picks up at the point where we begin that process of now having servants, now having land and having possessions and things like animals and cattle, everything needed to put in the work. Now, of course, the work is not done because they actually have to then start building a family and building things like that. So we're going to start reading into some of those things. And of course, like always, we use the Bible Hub app so that we could read the interlinear version so that you can follow along with us. If you get the Bible Hub app, we're going to go to Genesis chapter 21. All right. And we're starting at verse 1. And first reader up is Trooper Shemawan. And, you know what I'm saying, Officer Capillar, make sure to help him out if he needs any help with any of these words here. We're going to read the first 7 verses in Genesis 21. Very great.
Yahweh, Papa, Quad, Atha, Sara'ah, Ka'asar, Amar, Waya, Asha, Yahweh, Sara'ah, Ka'asar, Debar,
Debar. Verse 2.
Watahar, Watala, Sara'ah, La Abraham, Ban, La Kwa,
Lazaquan Yawa.
La Kwa Nawa, Lama Wa'ai, Asar, Debar, Atawa, Alahani.
Very good.
Verse 3.
Waya Korah, Abraham, Atha, Shem, Banah, Hana Walad, La Asar, Yala da, huh?
Yeah, Yalada.
La Sarah, Taza Hakwa,
Isaac. So, yeah, Taza Kakwa or something.
Taza Hakwa, Wayama, Abraham, Atha, Taza Hakwa, Na, Ban, Samanat, Ayamam,
It's Yum Yum.
Yam, Kasar, Taza Awa, Atawa, Alahan.
Most correct.
Wa Abraham, Bam, Malata, Shana, Baha Walai, Lao, Ata, Taza Hakwa, Bana, 6, Wata Amar, Sarah, Taza Hakwa, Asa, Laya, Alahan,
Hashamai.
Hashamai. Taza Hakwa. Na'a. 7. Wata Amara. Ma'ai. Lelai. La Abraham. Ayam Nakwa. Banahan. Sarah. Kaya. Your lad.
That's a tough one, really.
Yeah, it is. Bun. Lazaquan
Most High Christ. That's the end of verse 7. Give him a hand for that. Someday it's gonna be us sounding real fluent in here. That's some punch in there right there. That's definitely a step in the right direction. You know what I mean? And once we know, of course, reading it is the first thing, right? Is when you first growing up, they teach you how to get your alphabet right and get the letters down, and then before you know it, you start to understand the vocabulary. Like, what are some of the words we always see? Amar, which means to say, the bar, and you know what I'm saying, Shemai. And you start to pick up the language the more we read the scriptures, because it's using the same words in a lot of places. Of course, there's always new phrases being used too. Those are always a challenge, but stepping up to the plate and learning the culture, that's what the UK is all about. Genesis chapter 21. Go ahead and start at verse 1.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 21, verse 1. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken.
Right, because remember before when they were talking about Sarah having kids, she was first scoffed at the idea. She's like, I ain't gonna have no kids. I'm already old, waxing of age, and ain't no way I'm gonna be able to have no kids. But the Most High made do on what he said he was gonna do, and that was that she was gonna have a kid. She was gonna have a baby. She was gonna go ahead.
She adopted by the angels checked her.
Yeah, exactly. So this goes way back from the previous chapters we were reading about them angels that eventually destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. That the Most High worked through them to give her the message that she was going to have a child, right? So let's not forget that. But this is what actually came to pass. Go ahead, verse 2.
Verse 2. For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age.
And did what?
Bare Abraham a son in his old age.
Right. Now, does it even mention how old she was? I was curious. No.
I think it did.
In the previous chapter, it mentioned how old she was, right? But we can imagine that, you know, she passed the age of what, like 50, 60, you know, at least 70, maybe even 80. Because we know that what at this age, it says, and bear Abraham a son in his old age. Go ahead.
At the set time of which God had spoken to him.
Right, because it's all going by what the Most High says. He's a man of his word. The things that he says, they come to pass. And so for this to happen exactly like it was, you can imagine that, especially during a time when, especially look at now, when a woman gets pregnant, it's like a huge surprise. The whole family starts tripping out. You know what I mean? People start worrying about, oh, we're going to have what the baby needs. Well, guess what? Not only did they have everything that they need to have a child, but they was told by angels that they were going to have that child. So they were completely prepared for this to happen. Because they told that it was going to happen by the Most High's angels that were sent to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And so the heavy part about this is that back then, and we got to look back at this right now, when we had faith in the Most High, we weren't worried about things like that. You know what I mean? A lot of times, sisters, they end up pregnant at the age of 16, 17 years old. But imagine if they had everything they needed, if they had the right situation and it was comfortable, you know what I'm saying, a much smoother process. The process of growing a family and having children could be much more smoother, especially under the Lord's instructions and under his orders that it was going to happen. All right, so it happened at the set time of what the Most High spoke to Abraham about, just like he said. So go ahead.
Verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
Isaac, all right, name Isaac, what it means, well, it says son of Abraham by Sarah, his wife, and father, which we of course come to know is Isaac becomes the father of Jacob and Esau, right? So this is very important for our history because this is when you start to see entire nationalities get made. So this is really setting the stage for what's to come in later chapters, especially Genesis chapter 25. But there's some interesting things that happen here. Because now we understand that they left that city under the king Abimelech, I believe his name was Abimelech, and I had everything they needed to build, right? And so you're seeing, of course, Isaac come into play, but during this whole time, pay attention to Abraham to see just how humble he remains. To see how humble that he stays during the whole process, to not get puffed up because they now have, you know what I'm saying, a roof over their heads and cattle to feed their people. You know what I mean? Like this is Abraham, our forefather. Oh, come on. Everybody need to try? Boom, bear. Read verse 3 one more time.
And verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
All right, go ahead and verse 4.
Verse 4. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old. And God had commanded, and as God has commanded,
Right,
commanded
Most
him.
High ordained for him to circumcise his son. So the circumcision began right here, okay? Because that was the order that the Most High gave him. Him being 8 days old. Now, of course, these days, we don't do that when kids are born. 8 days after the child is born, because they're usually already at home. So the medical procedures are done through convenience at the hospital that the child was born at, right? And that's what Israelites are to do whenever we have a son. They would circumcise that son. So we would maintain that tradition today. Now, what does that mean? That means if you were born and you weren't circumcised, that don't mean that you need to go and get the procedure done. All right, let that be known right now, because under the council of our generals and elders, they've given us that instruction. But going back to this custom that was born right here, Abraham is doing exactly what the Most High said to do, and that was that he circumcised him at the time that he 8 days old. All right, go ahead.
Verse 5. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
So how old was Abraham when he had Isaac? 100, right? 100 back then probably felt like 40 years old for us. By the time you're 40, you were already falling apart, and then you started to give out, and you know what I mean? Like, starting to have high blood pressure and all that. You could imagine being 100 years old and having to raise a brand new child. Yo, maintain that. Who's doing that right there? Bashing that door open. No, that's no let off the. You see what I'm saying? Abraham had to deal with kids bashing doors open, and you know what I mean? Like, imagine doing that when you're 100 years old. It'd be a handful, right? But having a nation of people around you, basically your family, you know what I'm saying, with mothers and servants to handle that stuff, it becomes much less of a burden. Abraham still took on the burden of having a child when he was 100 years old, which is crazy when you think about it. But reading these scriptures, man, they really bring out a part of our history that we should be proud of, because this was a strong predecessor to all of us. Think about how strong and how ageless blacks and Hispanics can be if we live righteously. You know what I'm saying? Think of the strongest versions of our people. You know, we look up to sports personalities and athletes, people of high stature physically, but Abraham was obviously somebody that was in control of his body even at the age of 100. And even more important, he was in control of his spirit because he followed the Most High's orders. So there's a glory in our people when we actually hold on to what the Most High says to do. You know what I'm saying? And the Most High will bless us with a long life, a life where we can see children raised up and become powerful under us, you know, regardless of how old we get. All right, go ahead and give me verse 5. Oh, you already read that. Give me verse 6.
Verse 6. And Sarah said, God hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me.
Right, she's seeing him raise a 100-year-old man helping to raise his son. That can't help but put a smile on her face. Such a smile on her face that everybody around her saw that, right? Because it says, so that all that hear will laugh with me. So there's a joy that's going on right here. You gotta imagine a happy home, a happy family. These are black folks. You understand? These are dark-skinned people. This is how our family's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you know, a momentous occasion for us to have families and raise families. Nowadays, it's the grandparents that are raising the children of their sons and daughters. Well, imagine that actually being their daughter. It's different. It's hard to imagine that. That's what's going on here, and that's just a joyous thing. Like you look at like a grandmother taking care of her grandkid, and that's kind of literally what's going on here. Except Sarah's the actual mom, and then Abraham's the actual dad. You know what I'm saying? So it's such a large age gap in what that generation is, but it's powerful because it just comes to show that we come from these people here. You know what I'm saying? That's a very humbling thing to think about. Now go ahead and give me verse 7.
Verse 7. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck?
Giving children suck. Well, we all know what that means. You know what I mean? Breastfeeding, right? You know what I'm saying? Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? Go ahead.
For I have borne him a son in his old age.
Hey, man, look, the props to them for doing that. You know what I mean? Give it up for them. Because raising a kid ain't easy. Doing that when the well's already dry, I mean, I don't know if it was dry. Barely it worked. Because that child had to be weaned off that suck. But that's the cycle of how things go. There was no Similac back then. They didn't go to the store and get the Similac and just mix it up with the bottle and give it to the baby and put the tablet on and go watch Netflix or whatever that we was doing. We do that nowadays. They have to put in that work, right? So that's the crazy thing about it is that it's almost trivial now when we think about it because oh yeah, well, everybody has kids. These were the folks that started our nation doing this at that old age. That's not easy. But they did that, understanding that the Most High was with them. And, you know what I'm saying, they knew that there was a job that needed to be done because an entire nation was going to come out of their children. And so they prioritized they prioritized Isaac. All right? With that, we can go ahead and mind you. Pretty good chapter. I know the chapters are at least 30 verses. Might take a couple weeks to get through it, but we want to try it. There's a lot going on in this chapter, so we want to try to hold it. Yeah, go ahead and do it. Next up is going to be Isupk.
Ban Sabbath. Ban Sabbath. Ban Yashal.
Super Tatiar, Ban Zabalawan, Ban Yashal.
Do the salute.
Ban Shiri Hawasha Barakatam.
Yahweh Shem Shabbat.
Yeah, go ahead. We can't do this. time to practice on it.
Lion Charlie.
Lion Charlie. Alright. Again. I'm sorry. You got the app right behind the hood? We're rocking and rolling now. Alright. Genesis chapter 21, verse 8.
Waya. Yaifda. Let me get the. Wayada.
Wait it down.
Wayada.
Wait it down.
Wayakada.
Say it loud.
Wayala. Waya.
Come on. Wait it down.
Wayagama. Waya. Isupk. Wayasha. Abram. Mashta. Mashta. God. Katwa. Baywan. Hai. Hagadama. Hagama. Ata. Yatsasahak. Verse 9. Wa'ai. Torah.
Yep, what a rock.
Watara. Sarah. Ata. Ban. Agar. Hamatasayarat. Asar. Yaal. Yalda. Abraham. Matasahakor.
Notice that mataza kakwa, that it, the words scoffing and laughing are the same word. Just a little bit different in the type, free type of use that. Go ahead.
Matasahak.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10. Wadamar.
More.
Tamar. Nar. Abram.
Mm-hmm.
Ka'ai. Rat.
Rush.
Karash. Haman.
Mm-hmm.
Hazad. Wa'ad.
Mm-hmm.
Banyam.
Mm-hmm.
Kai. La.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Mm-hmm.
La.
Mm-hmm.
Yairash.
You've been practicing, haven't you?
Yairash. Just writing.
Wasn't that Christ?
Ban.
Mm-hmm.
Haman.
Mm-hmm.
Hazad. Ayam.
Yeah, it's like I'm ma. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Banyam. Ayam.
Mm-hmm.
Yais. Yatsazad.
Kakwa.
Yatsazad. Verse 11. Why Ra
Mm-hmm.
Ha Ada Adabar
Mm-hmm.
Mada Baanya
Ba'ayanya.
Baanyanya
Mm-hmm.
Abraham
Allah,
Al.
Al, Awadah,
Close. Awadah.
Awadah, Banyo,
Banawa. Or it's either Banwa. I think it's Banawa.
Manwa. Verse 12. Why Yamar, Elohim, Al, Abraham, Al, Ira,
Yarai.
Yara,
This one's Ba'ayanyak.
Yanya, Al,
Hana'ai.
Ira, Waila, Mataka, Kasar, Tamar, Aliyah, Sarah, Shamai, Balquat,
Other way. Ba'alak.
Balqualat, Kai,
Kaya.
Kaya, Bayai,
Baya Tazakakwa.
Baya, Tasahako, Yai, Kara,
Kwara.
Kaira, Mikal, Zara,
Zarai.
Zerai,
Verse 13.
Organ, Atag, Man,
Ha'ama.
Ha'man,
Regalia.
Galia, Asha, Manwa, Asamwa,
It's Ashayamanwa.
Asha, Manwa,
Yamanwa.
Kaya, Zar,
Looks like
Zaraka.
Zaraka, Ha'ain,
Hawa'a.
Hawa,
Very good. Go ahead, verse 14.
Wa'ai Yash, Shikam,
Yep. Why
Shikam, Baram, Ba'aba,
Bakor.
Bakor, Wa'ai Kwa,
Wayakwa.
Wa'ai Laham, Wa'amat,
Wakaba.
Wa'aman, Wa'ayim, Wa'ayat,
Wayakab.
Wayatab, Al, Gar, Sha'am,
Sham.
Al,
Shakama.
Sakma, Wata, Ivan,
Hayalad.
Hagalan, Waisaha, Waisalahad,
Talak.
Watalak, Wata Thought,
Watatai.
Watatai, Bayam,
Bamadabar.
Bamalbar, Bair, Sarafat,
Shabbat.
Shabai.
Alright, we'll start at first. That's the end of verse 14 to 1. Go ahead and start in English with verse 8. Again, what we're talking about, we just read verse 7, and she said, who would have said that Abraham and Sarah should have given children a son, or have born him a son in his old age? So now it's talking about the process of raising Isaac. Right, go ahead.
Book of Genesis, chapter 21, verse 8. And the child grew, and it was weaned.
Wean meaning what? The child started eating regular food. No longer does she have to, breastfeed, but he's actually like, it was a momentous occasion for a child to wean off of those things. You know what I mean? Like, just like that momentous occasion nowadays, when a child is potty trained, right? That's a big deal. That's a day that you can rejoice right there. Matter of fact, just him weaning off the mom's milk was a big deal back then. What happened? Go ahead. When the child weaned, go ahead.
And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned.
Now make sure we understand this. This was no birthday or anything like that. This was children being rewarded for the things that they do, not just by existing and being born on a day, right? So what is it that when the UPK, we don't celebrate birthdays and things like that. But one thing that we do celebrate is when a child progresses, right? Like if a child, like I seen Officer Malakwa over in Houston post his child's report cards. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a glorious thing to see the progression of a child who is, of course, going to be a leader in our nation, even in those early stages where it's not necessarily them being priestly, but it is them developing as a human being, right? As a particular person, being weaned off of milk, being potty trained, and then at some point learning their alphabet, and learning how to do math, and things that you feel proud of because you did your job as a parent to raise them and train them. And so Abraham made a feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. You understand? So that's a momentous occasion. Go ahead. Slide.
So what's supposed to celebrate children's accomplishments?
Of course, to reward them. You know what I'm saying?
That's because
Not in the sense of worshiping them, but in the sense of, recognizing their accomplishments.
Oh, the baby shower.
Well, that's one thing, right? That's one thing.
Graduation parties.
I remember my stepdad used to tell me, I was very, I was a child, my stepdad used to tell me you're supposed to be.
But you know what is crazy? We're so used to being punished for doing bad things that we don't even consider the fact that maybe it's a good idea to be rewarded for doing good things. Because we're so quick to be criticized and checked for the things that we do that are wrong. Well, we can also make it a habit, just like in this sense right here, to recognize when something is done right. Right? The Most High works the same way with us. Punishes us when we do things that are wrong, rewards us when we start following His laws, statutes, and commandments. What you're doing with that child is you're instilling in them that there's a reward for progressing, right? Not because it's their birthday or anything like that, right? Because the things that they do, the effort they put in hopes that they will continue to grow to the point where they would then want to do better in the things that the affairs that they have at that young age. You know what I'm saying? The responsibilities that they take on when they're in that youth age, because it starts to build discipline in them to where it becomes second nature in them to continue to do things that are going to benefit their growth. You know what I'm saying? And so even starting at a young age, Abraham, I mean, of course, not only that, I'm sure that Sarah was happy, right? It was less work for her. That the child would be just a little bit more independent, and maybe by the time they're of age, where they're 20 years old, that they would be less dependent on their parents. You know what I mean? And that's what a parent would want more than anything. To see that their hard work has paid off in a fully developed person that's able to stand on their own 2 feet, that's able to think for themselves and be a good example for those around them. Anyway, go ahead.
And verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Agar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
Well, she did what?
Born unto Abraham, mocking.
So naturally, there's going to be a little bit of competition between family members, especially you talk about these two ribs. Who was Sarah? Who was Hagar? Anybody know who Hagar is in this verse? Go ahead.
She was a maid.
Right. What else was she? She wasn't going to be a part of the Most High plan. Did you? Go ahead.
She was a wife.
She was Abraham's, basically the woman that he had a child with first, before he had Isaac with, before he gave birth to Isaac with Sarah. So naturally, what you see is there's a little bit of striving going on right here. It's like, all he did was wean off the tit. There ain't nothing. Everybody can do that, and it becomes this thing of where it's contention among sisters. These are both Abraham's ribs, and to the point where she was mocking them, right? And this is something that you see. And how often is it that Black and Hispanic women have that same spirit in them, where they want to go and compare their kids to other people's kids? Oh, they doing a terrible job raising him because he out there selling drugs. My boy going to college. My boy doing it. Yeah, but your son still ain't following God's law, statutes, and commandments. Can we focus on getting that right first? And what is it that, like, because the mentality behind it is always, it's like Christianity. It's hypocritical because this Egyptian woman who was mocking her was coming under that same spirit. And now you compare Christianity to, it's very similar. It's always, I'm better than her. She's doing something that's simple. This accomplishment ain't much, when in fact she's not really paying attention on the things that she can do to progress. She's over here trying to downplay what somebody else has done, and we find that way too common even to this day amongst Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, because we always want to think everything's a damn competition, when meanwhile we're dealing with enough of an enemy as it is in the white man, and then we are dealing with enough enemies as it is in the other nations who look down on us and mock us and our children, you know what I'm saying? And put them down, even though when they've already been put down enough by the world as it is. Why is it that we now, even within the same family, have to go and put each other down even more? That's not how we need to operate. We should take this lesson and learn that this is not how we're supposed to be. And you're also going to find out that the Most High has a stance on the matter as well, because things are going to start changing here. Tolerance is no longer going to be, for bad behavior, no longer is going to be tolerated. And that's what we're seeing in this chapter right here, because there's a little bit of drama here. That's what we're seeing. This drama is brewing up. Read that verse one more time.
Verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Agar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking.
Good. Now, so she was talking smack about Isaac. So I'm sure Abraham wouldn't appreciate that, but go ahead.
Verse 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman.
Cast out this what?
Bondwoman.
That when she said, cast out this servant. She ain't no, she tried to downplay my son. I'm gonna downplay her. I'm gonna say, you know what? She ain't nothing but a servant anyways. Yeah, she may be your rib. That may trouble you to do this. But you should go ahead and cast her out. I think it's time to let her go. You know what? She also was staying in the spirit that she was in. it's time for us to separate from these other people. Now, of course, at the time, this woman here, she may be an Egyptian, but she was that child was still Abraham's seed, was it not? And so while she belonged to a different people, Abraham's first son that she born with him had actually been of Abraham's seed. So it's not necessarily Israel at this point because Israel hadn't even been born yet, right? Jacob hadn't even been born yet. But we're starting to see that there's a separation among different people. We're going to read about that. Go ahead. Cast out this bondwoman. Go ahead.
And her son.
And her son. Go ahead.
For the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son.
Good night. Go ahead.
Even with Isaac.
She ain't on the same level as us. Well, who is she to be talking down on us? Now, of course, if she kept her mouth shut, this may not have even happened. But because she went and opened her mouth and tried to put down this woman here who, mind you, decades of age and gave birth to this child, went through the whole trouble of childbirth and weaning the child, and then once there's a momentous occasion to celebrate, you want to go and talk smack. Again, this is very reminiscent of what we see in the spirit of our people today that needs to be purged from us. Because the moment one of us does something good, we're so quick to put them down. The other nations don't do that to each other. You know what I mean? That's why the Chinese can come over here from China, set up a business, get their whole family put on. And before you know it, they got houses and cars and things. Meanwhile, we still in the ghetto because we can't get nothing put together. Because the moment that we do something good, our own family is trying to put us down for it. That's the wrong mindset to have. That type of mindset doesn't need to be near us at all. And so basically what she's saying is, she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. So she had a little bit of pride in the sense that, of course, God told her the importance of that son. So for that son to be mocked, she wasn't playing no games with it. She said, you know what, go ahead and separate her from what we got going on over here. Now that we got this cat, now that we got these servants, now that we got this land to grow. We don't need that type of drama amongst us. If she's gonna be like that, go ahead and send her on her way. And let's see what happens. Go ahead, give me verse 11.
Verse 11. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son.
So there was a conflict there because that is still his son. Abraham still cares about his son, who was technically his firstborn, right? We're seeing that was technically his firstborn, though the Most High had not ordained for the path of his lineage and chosen people and covenants to be sent with that child who was born of an Egyptian woman. It was already foretold that he was going to be putting all his focus and importance on Isaac. And so still there was a conflict within Abraham because of what his wife was saying. Because of course, if your wife tells you her preference on something, yeah, it makes sense to consider. But what about the way that he felt? Because it was still somebody that he cared about, And so there was conflict within them. And let's see if the Most High can help clear the air. Go ahead and give me verse 12.
Verse 12. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the land.
Because of the lad. The lad, right? Mm-hmm.
And because of thy bondwoman,
Mm-hmm.
and all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, or in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
This is heavy. This is the Most High drawing the line right here and saying, I'm dealing with this thing. You want to tell me that God loves everybody? How come God didn't forgive her for saying that? Because he's drawing the line and he's letting you know right here that he's setting the stage for Israel to be the most important thing on this earth. So important that even Abraham's first son, he had to sacrifice. Everybody wants to talk about Abraham trying to say, when the Most High told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac on the altar, which we're gonna read about later. But this was a sacrifice too, because he had to go past his feelings to understand that the Most High has an agenda for this earth. That in order for the earth to be set right, for everything to go the right way, for the people that are to be righteous to be in rulership, that it means that you have to be a little bit cold about what the other nations have going on. To the point where even this servant, this maid woman, of the land of Egypt, who bare the first son of Abraham, she had to be brushed aside. There's favoritism in the scriptures. Because he said, what? Read that last part again.
For in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Isaac shall thy seed be called. See, I'm dealing with this lineage right here. I got something special lined up for them. So I'm focused so much on them that even God said, go ahead and let her go. Go ahead and let that drama go. Don't even sweat it. Don't worry about it. We're going to make sure it's straight, but let me make sure that we focus more on this. This is more important. And today, what does that look like for us? We got to put more importance on one another and not so much on these other heathens that are around about us. Even though we may have had situations with them, maybe we had business affairs with them, some of our people have even had children with some of the other nations. But even still, what becomes more important is the building of our own nation. And God is behind that. And that sounds racist to say, but God is doing that because it is his order to do that. So who the hell are we to try to say that, oh, God, that we can't be favorites for one another? Because when we don't do that, then these other heathens, they mock us. They continue to mock us. They continue to say that we're trash. They continue to step over us and be above us on the earth. So now it's time for us to be a little bit selfish for our own nation. There's a time for that. There's a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. And right now, one of the things we got to go to war with is the fact that we want to be friendly to everybody. But the world hasn't been friendly to us, so why the heck do we need to keep doing the same thing and to be the better man when obviously the Most High has other plans? The Most High concorded every nation their inheritance on the earth, and Israel has their own inheritance. That becomes more important than our own opinions and our own wants and things that we feel like we need. Go ahead.
And also, verse 13, and also of the son of the bondwoman I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
So the Most High said, go ahead and let him go. Let him do it, you know what I'm saying? Let that mother take that kid off, and don't worry, I'm going to make sure they're straight. I'm going to make sure that they're also going to be a great nation, because after all, he is thy seed. That child, that man, that baby that he had with that servant, that child's not an Egyptian. He just has a mother that's an Egyptian. But they still an important seed. And so that's like when you look at nowadays, you know how that child obviously is in Israel, but there are some people from Africa that look kind of like Israel, but they're not really. I mean, they don't really look like Hamites, but they still have features that are Israelite-like. They may not be Israel because they may have been a part of that. They very well may have been a part of that seed that came from Abraham, that wasn't Egyptian, but also wasn't Israel either. So the focus isn't really on them in a sense. And when we understand that, this is what the Most High has ordained, then all of our opinions go out the window and we can finally get this thing right. So the Most High told Abraham to not worry about it, but then also reassured him that that child that he gave birth to was going to be taken care of as well, because he was going to be a great nation too.
What nationality was Abraham?
This was the Adamites. This was from the seed of Shem. If you want to go back to the lineage of Noah, and when Noah broke off and had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, we know that the Egyptians come from the seed of Ham, right? Which is what this woman eventually derived from, the seed of Ham. That first woman, that servant that he had, she went, Slacky, go ahead. Oh. She was from the seed of Ham, but Abraham was from the seed of Shem. You hear about, and this is important because right now you're hearing in the news about people being anti-Semitic and all this kind of stuff. Because you know what it is? These fake Jews that are out there, they try to say that we're not Shemitic, which makes no sense. Because we got to understand Noah was black. His 3 children were black. Shem was black. How the heck can Kyrie Irving be anti-Semitic when he's black and comes from the seed of Shem? Little do they know, he comes from the seed of Israel, not just Shem, not just Abraham, not just Isaac. But because they took our identity, they want to say we're anti-Semitic for saying something against it. It's kind of deceptive that they even use that term anti-Semitic, because technically the fake Jew is Semitic. Because it comes from, when you read the Genesis, and it tells you how Isaac had Jacob and Esau, they come from the seed of Esau, which comes from the seed of Abraham, which comes from the seed of Shem. So yeah, they're Semitic, but so is Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You see what I'm saying? And so when you go into this history here, it's really starting to pinpoint the seed and direction and the family tree the Most High is really giving focus to.
That when come down the line there when Esau sold his birthright.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's almost like they kind of held on to that jealousy ever since then, to where they always want to try to take their birthright back by force, by war, by bloodshed. You know what I'm saying? Though they know that they can't actually completely do it, because even the Jewish rabbis in their community admit that they were originally converts to Judaism, to following God's laws and things like that. That they come from the Khazarians and the Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jewish communities and different nationalities that actually do originate from Esau, right? So while they are Semitic, understand this. Read that verse one more time. Give verse 13 again.
And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
Right, because the Most High is like, you know what? Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Just like how Ishmael would be given a blessing as well. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about the same thing, because Ishmael would also be a nation of people who were blessed in a sense and have similar features to some of the Israelites, but are not actually Israel. We got to understand the role that we play on this earth. You understand? And it's important for us to know these things. It's just as important for us to know the things about the other nations as well, to understand where they come from, to have a sense of urgency and selfishness for your own people, then also to have compassion on what they are and what their purposes are. The other nations and what the Most High has in store for them. Yeah, they would be blessed in a sense, but let's get our people on top first. Because not even those other nations can actually be blessed anyways unless we're on top. Otherwise, they're going to stay going to war with each other. They're going to stay having to fire RPGs and AK-7s at one another out there in that land, in the terrible weather, in the sandy deserts. And the land is supposed to be bountiful with milk and honey. You look at the Middle East, it looks like a desolate place. But when that land belongs to us, it's going to be all green. It's going to be all good. You understand? And so we have to focus on us first, because this is what the Most High ordered to happen. Give me verse 14.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water.
Right. He had all this stuff. He had the whole land set up that Abimelech let him have. You know what I'm saying? All the crops and everything. There's this woman wanted to go and downplay his son that he had that he was so excited about. He's like, you know what? Let me go ahead and cut this beef up right now. I'm gonna go ahead and get her some bread. I'm gonna get her some water. Go ahead.
And gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba.
Abraham gave her some bread and a bottle of water. I hope it's a bigger bottle of water than this, because she's gonna have a long trip. You know what I mean? She's gonna have a lot of walking to do. And say, you know what? You just go ahead and get it. You're gonna be all right, though. But Lord be with you. You understand? And so this is what's going on in this chapter. Like I said, there's a lot going on. We read about how Isaac was born. We read about how he was weaned off the milk. And there was a party that was thrown. You know, Israel throws good parties, right? And imagine somebody coming in and being the party pooper, starting the drama, and right away there's a solution that's made because the Most High gave Abraham the instructions. And again, Abraham's doing exactly what the Most High told him to do. Knowing that because he's a man of faith, that things were going to play out and work out right, just like how it did when he went to that city, right? It's like how it always does, because Abraham is a man who believes in the Most High. This is who we learn from the things that these people did. You know, we ought to emulate and become exactly who Abraham was, somebody that followed orders, regardless of how he felt about the situation, knowing that things were going to turn out good in the end. All right. With that, Amayim. Or something. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. For a lot, on there. Lion Shroud. Lion Shroud. Alright, Officer Mataza Wise will be next. And then I guess Shimon, you can just rotate with him on Shimon. Oh, hold on, you stay right here. He's got a. Oh, you got a. Anybody got a headpiece for him? So we will read 7 more verses and then we'll go in on that.
Officer Matazwa on Yahweh. I'm sure.
Officer Matazwa, Ban Yahweh, Ban Yahweh. Okay, salute. Officer, I can go ahead and do the salute. Yeah, how about you yourself with that?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yahweh Bashem Yahshua done.
How about you yourself with that? What up, y'all, man? You know, brushing up on the Hebrew. I know it was Go ahead and blow the horn again.
Yahshua.
Maya Shalom. Alright, Rashad. Alright, so what we're doing, you going to, do you have your phone with you? So, I was in the jacket. Alright. Okay, cool. Oh, which was the? That was 14. Oh, yeah. Alright, so we're going to Genesis 21, verse 15. I'll help you out with it if you need any help. Oh, we're in Zoom out. Can you zoom out? Yeah, zoom out. You want to see all of it. Yeah. All right. That is. Go ahead.
Wayaka.
Mhm.
That's
Wayakala.
Wayakala. There's no verse.
No, you just remember right to left. So you got. Yeah, you might as well just zoom out all the way so you can follow, so you don't miss out on any of the phrases. Go ahead. How my young.
How my young.
Yeah, it look different on here. You see that? It's a little bit more. Go ahead and help them out with it, and then you can use my phone. I hope that helps. You gotta hold it up. You gotta hold it up.
So we don't. Ham,
It's right there.
Oh, it's right there?
Yeah. You're on that phrase. Mhm.
Oh, the middle one? Okay. Mine. Mine.
Hana, Hana,
Where? Hold on. Oh, hold on. That's 15 or 14?
15.
Hold on. Really different.
Genesis 21:15.
Really different.
Oh, man. Let me see.
Because, which one you on? Right there, right?
The second one.
Not this one.
That's weird, because mine has 2. I don't know which one.
So he's right here.
Right there.
Yeah. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm young.
Young.
Yeah, mine.
My love,
That was just mine.
my,
Hakama.
Hana,
Hakama.
Hakama,
And then,
La,
Watashala.
one not shall lock,
Watashala.
what the shall lock,
Okay.
Ana,
Tata.
Ata,
Haya.
Haya,
Haya.
La, Haya, lost this one.
Which one you want right here? There you go. It's like I said, you gotta hold it up. Just make sure that you see the whole thing. That way you know where you're at and things. So you don't got to be sliding around. But you know.
I'm not sure.
What the shalak.
Like I shall lock.
Mm-hmm.
Ta,
Yeah, come up.
Haya.
Haya, La,
Mm-hmm.
Ha. Ha. Ha.
Taha, Ta,
Ha.
Aha,
There's one more is which is
Hasha,
Hashiya.
Hasha, one na
Hasha. With the shell.
a shell,
La.
Remember, you got the alphabet here too. Let me help you.
La.
wa na waha,
What thought?
what a shell, what a
What
shell,
a shot. There you go. La ha.
laha, ma
Managa.
managa,
Mm-hmm.
ha
Haraka.
ta,
Yeah, haraka.
ka kama kama
Kanya.
kama
Kanya. Yeah. Kosha.
kusha
Mm-hmm.
ka
Mm-hmm.
ana amara aka
Allah.
ala alana
Oh, I thought it was now.
banasai
Panawat.
bana wa
Hayakwa.
aya kwa
Mm-hmm.
why anya shall wana shall
With the shell.
na, nalaga,
Manega.
Manasha,
Shah.
and I na.
Just at the back button. There you go. Here, thigh, the one to the bottom.
Ta, wal na, wana,
Kola.
wal na, konabo. That's it.
For 16?
Go ahead, back button. Sometimes when you click on certain thing on the screen, it takes you to a whole new spot. Y'all on 16, 17?
17.
Okay, go ahead. Might we're going to 21.
Akasha na, wa,
Where's your mind?
wana, shall, my,
Where's your mind?
I
Allah.
I don't not come. I not ka.
Where? Oh, I thought. Sorry. And then, wow.
Well,
Oh, wow.
Allah,
And then, Hana,
Hana ayo, waka, la, yakom,
That was a 10. Now that's a what?
namal,
Oh, from luck. Luck.
Elohim,
Hello.
Elohim,
Allah, which one you want?
Elohim,
Yeah, Allah Hayyam. There you go.
Hagor, Hagor, man, Yamasahas,
Hashem, Maya.
Mayawa,
Waymar.
Mayamar, Allah,
Laha.
Laha,
Laha.
Maha, La'a, Hagor, Oh, Tyrat, Ka, Sayama, Shamai, Allah Hayim, Al, Quo, Hana'or, Hana'ai, Bahasir, Bahashir, Hayo, Sha'am,
Verse 16.
Umay, Sha'al, Ayata, Hanayal, Wahaza,
Wahaz is a fire.
Wahaza, I thought, Kal,
The duck, the cow.
Yadak, Yadak, Yaadak, Yaadak, Bao, Kai, Lakawong, Gadawo, Asamaina, Asamina, Asayamina, Wayakwa, Elohim, Ata, Ainaha, Watara, Ba'er, Bayab, Ma'ain, Watamala, Ayat, Aita, Hamat, Mayam, Watasa, what the shot? I thought, how about what? Hanaya.
Yeah, we're going through the 21. We just do 7 verses at a time.
Why? Elohim. Walahim. I thought Hanaor. Wayagadal.
There you go.
Wayasaya.
Wayashab.
Pamadbor. Pamadbor. Wahai.
Yeah.
Rabaya. Kwashat. Wayasaya. Wayashab. Bamabor. Pamadbor. Paran. Watakwa. Lao. Aimau. Isaiah. Ma'aras. Maharataza. Matazarian. And
That's in verse 21? Sound correct. All right, so Genesis chapter 21. Go ahead and start at verse 15.
Genesis 21:15. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept.
Right, so when she ran out of that bottle of water and that bread, she's like, man, I'm done for. Let me go ahead and put this baby down. Let me get up out of here. I don't want to see this baby die. It's too depressing. All right, this is the, what's her name again? Her name was Hagar, right? She said the water was spit in the bottle. She cast the child under one of the shrubs, and she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. Like that, shoot a bow. It's like, maybe a couple 100 yards or something, right? But she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. So she had a lot of doubt in her mind. This woman who was sent off by Abraham Even though God said, what did God say? He said he was going to take care of that child, right? So let this be a lesson, even to the heathen that are around about us, those that are not of the nation of Israel, that what the Most High says is going to happen is going to happen. When he says that the other nations going to be put in slavery, they're going to be put in slavery. When he says that the Gentiles will be saved by the, you know what I'm saying, by the Israelites that will rule the kingdom to come, that in a sense the other nations would be saved from the desolation they're in right now, because the world is in a much worse place with the wrong people in power. The Most High says this is going to happen. Just like how this is going to happen right here. She had doubt in her mind. She thought the kid was going to die. She thought he was going to starve to death. She put the baby around and left. Go ahead and give me verse 17.
Verse 17. And the Most High heard the voice of the lad.
Right, the lad. The baby's crying because the baby don't have what he needs. Go ahead.
And the angel of the Most High called to Hagar out of heaven.
Right, so this Egyptian woman is actually hearing of a message from the Most High who says this. Go ahead.
And said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for the Most High hath heard the voice of the lad where he is.
Mm-hmm. This is where Hagar, she's getting reassured as well, because that child is of Abraham's seed, is he not? So though he's not Israel, he's going to be taken care of. And the Most High is basically holding up his end of the bargain that he told Abraham. Go ahead.
Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation.
Basically, he gave her the confidence to keep pushing forward. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And the Most High opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water.
Mm-hmm.
And she went and filled the bottle with water, and gave the lad drink.
Right, because sometimes the answer's right in front of you. You just gotta have the faith to see that it's there. So she had her eyes open to the fact that there was water nearby. Maybe the child didn't need to suffer. Maybe she don't need to give up that easily, right? We're always looking for a way out. We can push forward and just understand that the Most High may well be dealing with us. And the thing is, if the Most High says that he was going to take care of somebody else, even though they weren't Israel, he's doing exactly that. So the Most High even had her. It's funny as God opened her eyes, she got woke, so to speak. I don't even like that term these days, the way they use the term woke. But if there's anything you need to understand about the term woke, it's basically that you need to put more faith in the Most High. Faith in his law, statutes, and commandments. Faith in that he's going to have his servants, his children from the seed of Israel rule this planet. That's what these other nations need to understand. And that's why Isupk gets so many boot kisses on the street, because people have their eyes open. The only woke Edomite is somebody that's kissing our boots, because they don't understand that the end result is them actually being in a better position than right now, where they can't trust their politicians and all their government and everything like that, because they would want us to rule over them and to own them. They would crave that. But they're too prideful to understand that right now. So the Most High has to bring them low so that they can finally get it. Go ahead.
Verse 20. And the Most High was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer.
And became a what?
An archer.
Right, an archer. Somebody who was valiant in being able to hunt. Somebody valiant being able to, be resourceful and put together bows and arrows and things to protect themselves. So I was, in a sense, with them in a certain way, right? Just like he said he would. So you got a lot going on in this verse. The verse is jumping around from over here, over here. It's real cinematic. These scriptures is a book that's like a movie when you're reading it, when you're putting it together. And of course, we're reading it in the ancient Hebrew, which what we need to understand about that is the ancient Hebrew, of course, is the oldest language on the planet that we know of. We get so prideful when talking in English and saying things in the language that we know and understand. These brothers that come up here to read this Hebrew, we got to really understand that what we're doing here is we're operating off of faith. That everything that we do to get back our culture is going to end with us being the righteous rulers of this earth. Every bit of this matters. Every brick that you put in matters. Even if it is studying this language. Even if it is coming to Sabbath service. You know what I'm saying? And so these other nations, of course, they're not gonna understand these things. But what they can understand is the Most High is still gonna be somewhat merciful even on them for the things that they do that do benefit us. And in this woman's case, it benefited us for her to get up out of there. To not be a part of no drama, to not cause no issues with Isaac, you know what I mean? And so she can take care. Give me verse 21 and we're gonna finish it on that.
Verse 21. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt.
And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt, and that man, he became assimilated to the Egyptians. Just like how he was destined to do, right? So he ended up growing up and being accustomed and a part of their culture. And that's just what the Most High had ordained. So let that be what it is, and then we'll continue doing our own thing. And we're going to continue reading this chapter next week. We'll finish off on this, but for now, we'll end it on that. So, Amadi. Is that what you did?
Oh, you moved it. Actually, you moved it, right?
Good. All right. Sorry, we're playing our government. We're going to finish with the Lord's Prayer. Oh, Salaki. Before I forget. Got you a little bit more of this. Just always assume that we got to do that. All right, go ahead.
Wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Like Yeshua.
All right, with that, sorry, we'll find out done. Go ahead and leave that. We're going to finish off with the Lord's Prayer.
This is the Lord's Prayer in the Washington production. Abano.
Shabbat Shemana. Wadash. Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh.
Malakka. Aisha. Marasa. Kawah. Hayah. Hashemai. Tanana. Makam. Ka. Yawam. Masalakna. Kawatna. Kasalakna. Kawatina. Walala. Oyayano. Wanasawon. Abo. Awashayna. Mayan. Right. Hayah. Laka. Malakwa. Walala.
Right, with the English, what we said was, Our
Our
Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. All right, sorry. Just gotta cover this up real quick. Just like we were supposed to have it out already. Go ahead.
You got it? Slide it, so oh, it's like this. Oh, the other way. All right, like that.
Okay. I didn't know where All right, we're gonna do this with the Torah. Go ahead, go to that side over there. I'm gonna turn the camera. Try to do it so that. Let me know if the camera shuts off because I know sometimes it's a little. Good. Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barak Yah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakiyah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakiyah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakiyah.
Go ahead. Come on, man. The next. All right, stand up. Go like this. Separate your feet and come back like this. Put your hand on the chest. Put your hand on the scroll. Say Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushua,
Barakiyah.
Barakiyah.
Right? Come back. Same thing. Follow me. Go like this. And come back like this. Go like that. Other hand. All right, now put your hand on the scroll. Other one. This. Make it this. Say Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushua,
Barakiyah.
Barakiyah.
Right, come back with it. Alright. That's this time I want to ask if anybody needs to be anointed. Now's the time for it. No? Go ahead, sit that down. Yeah. Alright, at this time we're going to give the brothers one courtesy salute. Go ahead, stand up.
That's what I'll do.
Men of Israel, Amadu Shabbat, Amadu, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakiyah. Y'all at the top. Alright, Sar, turn and face the sisters for one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Amadu Shabbat, Amadu, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua.
Shalom Yehoshua Halata Bashim Yahusha.
Y'all at the top. Class dismissed.
See, what the heck? What?